Okay, so I think we've started. And today we were originally going to have Dixon Jones and David Harry on to talk about forensic SEO and link audits. Unfortunately, Dixon's having some issues with his equipment, so he's going to be on next week, and it'll be a full show devoted exclusively to Majestic SEO's products. So that should be a good one because we got lots of questions, and Dixon's already given me one tip I'm sure we're all going to save here as far as the free accounts go next week. So the usual gangs here from Pros and Dojo, and my guest this week is David Harry from Verve Developments, and of course the Dojo. Me and Dave are partners there in that little endeavor. But Dave's going to we're going to be talking about some forensic SEO, and should be a good talk, as Dave and I spend a lot of time working with the forensic stuff.
We're sadly ass deep in it. Sadly.
Yeah, for 2 years. So much so that's partly why I decided to go on my own, so I got some different shit to do. I got tired of looking at all these ugly link profiles. And said, here, Dave, you can have it all.
And we also have Doc Sheldon. We have Doc Sheldon. We have hi, Dave, a.k.a. the Gypsy. We all know. Good to be here. Oh, I'm lagging a bit. Come on, baby. We still alive? What happened? Well, I can't hear anybody.
Seem to be.
Oh, there you are.
I hear you.
Yeah. We got a still picture for Terry. Terry's picture has gone still on me here. So, Doc, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's the Doc and Dave show now. Our host is has slipped out on us for the moment, so I guess it's up to us. Okay, well, hey. You know, what are we doing? Forensics? We're doing forensics. Terry's back. There he is. Good to have you back, Terry. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, my network seems to have gone down for a bit. Thank you, Rogers. That's compliments of Rogers Cable here in Toronto.
Another glowing endorsement.
Yeah. Well, usually they're pretty good. I've actually run websites off their connections. So. Anyhow, Dave,
Hangouts are a pig anyways, buddy. You know that. They're horrible bandwidth pigs, man.
Oh, yes. Okay. So where were we, Dave? We're going to talk about the forensic SEO. Now, I think let's start with how you find if you have a Penguin or Panda or one of the Google updates. How do you identify these? And as we know, we were participating in a discussion on Google Plus this week where the gentleman was having problems but didn't even know how to
address it.
What problems he had. So why don't you start with that?
Yeah, you know, Terry, you started that list over in the Dojo, and I think that's still our primary source. Is you got to go and check dates, and you know, so we've got known dates. Obviously, Panda stopped giving us known dates a couple of months ago, but at least you've got historic Panda dates, and you've got pretty much current Penguin. But there's what 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So, you know, Terry, annotate them on the old analytics. You know, that's the easiest place to start. Is, you know, you got the little annotation, folks. That if you don't know about it, the bottom of your analytics, you can click on it, leave an annotation. You know, put your annotation as far as the dates, and then pull the scale back. You know, Terry, I've been lately. I go back to like last January, because something I've noticed is that people they often seem to be missing them. Meaning, you know, wow, I got a big hit from Penguin 2.0, so that's all they're focused on. Whereas, you know, I started pulling back on, you know, the analytics and you know, I got the annotations there, and you start saying, well, geez, you got hit by Panda back here in October. You got hit by one of the earlier penguins. You got a little hit. You know, pull it back, because, you know, Terry, once you have that profile of spammy or that profile of weakness, a Panda hit can lead to a penguin hit in many likelihoods. You know what I mean? It's almost like you can see them. So I think as far as Panda and penguin, you got to look at the dates, at least the known dates. You know, obviously Panda you can't do much with anymore.
Yeah, but Dave, my thinking is you're either a brand new site, right, or you don't just get hit by the recent Panda updates. It would have to be new content. In other words, if your site has been hit by Panda in the past, like I've seen sites that literally have been hit 4 or 5 times by Panda, and they didn't even realize it. Partially because Google is being very smart in that they hide the updates on the weekend. So if you look at most sites, on the weekend, their traffic goes through the floor anyhow, so they don't really see the they don't see a Panda drop because the update was done on a weekend. If you look, there's only maybe 3 or 4 instances that haven't occurred on a weekend. And usually, one thing I have noticed is refreshes happen on the weekend. Full-blown updates run through the week. Almost like they want to have all hands on deck when they're doing a major update, Dave, and when they're doing a refresh, have the weekend boys.
And they always did that, you know what I mean? There was that e-commerce one that, you know, it's so many of them run sort of Thursday to Monday kind of thing that, you know, regardless if it's a named change or not, just so many over the years, so many of the changes tend to be around that. You know what I mean? And the same with the e-commerce, you know, they ran that one in January, hoping, you know, it's after Christmas, maybe people won't notice. It could be a natural seasonal flux, you know. But yeah, there always seems to be a bit of a smokescreen element to them as far as that goes. I don't know if that's conscious or if that's just systemic with them. I don't know.
Yeah, because remember when before the first Panda actually rolled out, we had already identified characteristics of certain sites that we'd seen take drops for no apparent reason before Panda come out, and it turned out that a number of the things in Panda were what caused these drops in January.
I would think with Panda by now, what are we, 18 months in or something, I would think to a degree that if you haven't been hit with Panda in the past, meaning if you haven't had some known dates where you've taken a hit, you know, that it's probably unlikely that you're going to get a hit now unless you've changed drastically the kind of content you're putting out, or if you've changed, you know, the site structure, the CMS or something of that nature, that you've got canonical issues or something that's creating duplication and whatever. You know, I don't, you know, just because we don't have named or dated updates to Panda, I think at this point you can within reason sort of get a sense of it, you know, that, you know, I wasn't hit in the past, I haven't started adding any crap content since then. It's a fairly safe bet that this isn't my problem, you know. At least Panda's not your problem. You know?
I just thought of something. Could you imagine building a new site where the content was thin?
You'd never know, would you? You would never know.
You would never know.
Yeah.
You would never know why that site won't rank.
That's it, man. Yeah. You know, you almost, that's where your history of SEO comes in, is, you know, some new SEO coming in a year from now is not going to have a clue. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with your site, because he doesn't understand that, yeah, you could already be hit with it. You don't even know it.
And there's also the thing that guys like you and I, when we built sites, we would have naturally avoided thin content because we just wouldn't build a site.
There's no value. That's right. Well, there's no value to the end user. How's that going to convert for my customer, my client? You know, what's the point of it?
I kind of have minimums. In other words, to me, I won't publish a page unless it's strictly navigational, unless it has at least 300 words on it. I know some people think it's stupid, but sorry, 300 words isn't much. And
you mean there's supposed to be words on a page?
Yeah.
Wow.
The thing now that I think is...
Can't I just put a big-ass graphic or something? No? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks, search engines like words. It's really weird. So yeah, I don't care if you're doing an infographic, you're putting a video on the page, or if you're putting a product, put some words, really. How many keywords do you need on a page to rank, Terry?
At least one. Yeah, that's one of Dan's best lines ever, I think. So one of the notes I have here, Dave, is let's start going through where we get the data and whatnot to do a forensic link audit, or just a link audit in general. And then we'll separate the extra stuff that you do for a forensic audit. Okay, so let's start with what data would you get from Google Webmaster Tools, for instance?
Yeah, well, obviously you got your link counts, but those are examples. So, again, it doesn't matter if we're using Ahrefs or Cognitive or Majestic or whoever. Yeah, I think everyone needs to just get the concept in their head that, this is a snapshot or whatever. You can get that data, and I don't know if any, we were talking at some point today, Terry, I don't know if any of these metrics are I don't know if SEO metrics are always the right metrics, like toolbar page rank or page authority or Moz rank or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Yeah. I'm not sure if these matter because this is Google. It's almost a sniff test, man. You know what I mean? Classifying them is the big thing. I haven't used link detox yet. You're kind of familiar with that. Do they classify the links in there? Or?
Yes, somewhat. And also, I believe I've seen classification as to what kind of site in Ahrefs and maybe Majestic too. Dixon's got a new headset.
Look at Dixon. Look at Dixon.
No. Unfortunately, Dixon's not coming through.
No.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I like to classify them. You know what I mean? I was doing one this week, and I broke all the guest blog posts they had done into one section of a spreadsheet. I broke all the directories into another section of a spreadsheet. And so on, you know what I mean, classifying them, because I think half the battle is trying to understand what Google likes and doesn't like. I'm extremely suspect of directory links because every reconsideration request reply we've seen that gives examples, here are 2 or 3 examples of links you should have. Always there's directory links in there, almost fucking verbatim every time. And so, right away I'm classifying those. I'm taking them out and I'm putting them in their own little tab in the spreadsheet and going, these are more than likely stuff we want to get rid of.
Yes, and actually what I've found, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've found that Google will gobble up all these tag pages, for instance, on a directory, that a tool like Majestic SEO or Ahrefs, they don't gobble up all these tags. That seems to be symptomatic.
Given that Dixon was telling us that Majestic's data is what Cognitive SEO uses, there's actually catches a lot of those, so I'm assuming Majestic must.
Right.
But even those I classify as into the guest posting tab for the simple reason that that's what leads to the tags. Meaning, client goes out and does this guest post, and because this guest post is on a WordPress or whatever that's got tags installed, boom, 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 all of a sudden they're showing up 5, 6, 7 different times, right? Depending on how many times it was tagged.
Right.
So yeah, even those tag ones, again, like you're saying, if it's tags from a directory, classify those as directories. If it's tags because of a blog post, classify those as blog posts. You got blog roll and site-wide links, classify those separately. You know what I mean? Because those are kind of iffy.
My thing is, if I see multiple links on a directory, like say more than 1 or 2, I right away want to get rid of that directory because I know
it's right from the site level.
Bigger problem down. In other words, they're poorly maintained, and it's best to get the hell out because it's not going to get any better.
Well, like I was saying earlier with you, go check the backlink profile of the directory in question. Odds are, I'll bet you most of those links you'll see to that directory are actually coming from SEOs saying, go drop your link here. So what is You know, regardless of the site, if it's a blog or directory, look at link profile. What is it? Is it legitimate profile on its own? Is it got links of any kind of value coming into it from any kind of authoritative, reputable source? You know, and in the cases of a lot of these blog posts, and in the case of a lot of these directories, the answer is no. You know, so not only do you have suspect link equity coming into the place to start with, meaning it's not going to pass much, but now you have a trust authority issue that could be, you know, putting you in the line of fire for, you know, unnatural link messages or penguin, you know. So.
Yeah.
You're known by the company you keep, buddy.
Yeah. I think you also can't just look at directories and say they're all bad. I think you need to determine your competition and start looking at what the people who are placing, how many links they have in these categories. So once again, you pick those 5 or 10 competitors, Dave?
And anchor text, dude. Even anchor text, you know what I mean? Like we've discussed a few theories, you and I, lately about anchor text and over a certain threshold from one site or whatever, you know, how that's going to play out. You know, look at widgets, the information they give us on widgets and infographics. You know, Google said, you know, we're kind of dodgy on these, but if you're using an anchor text that's targeted versus an anchor text that's to your brand or your URL or something, then, you know, the advice we're given is to use the URL. So, you know, what kind of anchor text do you have from these directories and blog posts? Are they targeted anchor texts, or are they, you know, brand ones? You know, Google might be less inclined to slap you around if you've got a brand one saying, you know, SEO training dojo, as opposed to, you know, get a SEO training or something like that.
Right. And let's also consider that Google now cares about things, not strings. So there should be no reluctance to stop using these anchor texts like they are the be-all and end-all of SEO. I think they're the end of SEO for you if you use them too much.
Yeah, yeah. You know, yeah, I was showing you that example earlier where the guy had 29,000 links and 40% of them were to a targeted anchor text and only 3% were to brand. Well, that's definitely above a threshold, you know.
Yeah. But I would say that probably also has something to do with the thresholds, I mean, Dave, right? Has to do with your industry. You know?
Yeah, or query space. Query space.
Query space to take it even
that was Google's recent smokescreen, remember? We don't have algos for specific query spaces. Sorry, no, for specific industries was what Google said. Google didn't say is, do they have specific algos for various query types? You know, so
or query spaces, i.e., the payday loan space. If you don't think it's getting special attention, you're not paying attention.
A high volume transactional space known for spammy. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the forensic side, you know, we definitely anchor text is something you got to look at too. And like you're saying, you got to cross-reference that data with what else is going on in the ranking pages that are out there. You know, what are the ratios? What are the thresholds in that query space itself of the ranking pages? Have we possibly tripped something? You know?
Yeah.
But I think we got to preface any discussion of forensics by breaking it down too, meaning, you know, on-site, off-site, pandas, penguins, manuals, and everything in between. You know, I did a forensic thing recently that, you know, they'd obviously gotten hit by Penguin 2.0. But as we dug in, you know, here's this big little bit of a drop in April. Oh, what happened here? Oh, that's when we redesigned the site. And, oh, did you do a bunch of 301s? Yeah, we did some. Oh, yeah. Have you cross-referenced that with the 404s? No, we haven't done that. So, you know, right there they got slapped. We by going back on a further timeline, we found that, you know, last October they got hit by a panda as well. You know, forensics, you should never make an assumption or jump to assumptions. You should always, you know, come back and look at the larger picture from the developers to the on-site to the off-site and everything in between. You know.
Yeah, as we know, when it comes to forensic SEO, seldom is it they got too many of this. It's seldom that case. It's seldom there's 3 or 4 things working together.
Always. It seems almost always, doesn't it? It's rarely just one thing, isn't it? It's like you can almost see that track record going, you know, this is bound to It's only going to get worse unless you change how you're doing your SEO.
And one of the common themes, Dave, that I noticed when the first Penguin came out was people saying, well, I did everything I should have done for Penguin, right? And John Mueller looks at the backlink profile and says, yep, everything's good there, but that's not why you were penalized. Or that's not the problem. I think you better look at it closer at your site. A lot of times, people were taking off links when they actually had a Panda problem.
Well, yeah, or there's the whole pure spam thing that doesn't seem to be well understood.
That's a good one.
You know, the pure spam messages you get in Webmaster Tools, those are, you know, that means there's some cloaking, there's some scraped content, there's potentially malware. And again, you know, I mean, how many people use that malware tool? You know what I mean, Terry? Like the one that we always fall back on and that Google has. It's a safe browsing diagnostic tool, and it'll tell you if Google's found any malware on your site. You know, look at your query data. You know, our queries dropping. Look at your crawl data. You know what I mean, Terry? That's always a big one. You know, what are your crawl errors? You know, we found that sometimes people have 500 status codes when they're supposed to have a 200. You know, and what's the indexation levels historically? Has Google been slowly indexing less of your site over time? You know, has it jumped in indexation? You could have canonical issues. You could have duplication. You know, there's just so many bloody things that come into forensic work. Everyone just loves to go Panda Penguin, Panda Penguin, Panda Penguin. You know, that so much of this shit never gets hit. And like you're saying, most of the time there's going to be multiple fucking things going on, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so go on to the next bit I had here to talk about. And what I was wondering, Dave, is when you're doing a forensic analysis, correct? And you're using Majestic was the original, but I know that all of them, the providers have historical and fresh data. Which do you use in your forensic analysis?
Yeah, that's so tough to go with, eh? I think initially you gotta look at fresh, but if you're not getting immediate answers, because you know Google, they got a long memory, buddy. You know, so just
that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, because so you know, if you have an unnatural links message, if you've narrowed it down to definitely beyond a shadow of a doubt being a Penguin problem, if you're looking at, you know, recent data, that's probably the place to start. But if no immediate answers come, then I guess you probably have to, because yeah, folks, Google doesn't care. We've talked to Googlers, Terry and I, that have sat there and highlighted links that a given person we were talking to Google about. You know, they were showing us links from 2006 and stuff. So, you know.
Dave, I'm literally now finding stuff where Google is trying to index URLs on SEO Pro's site that literally have been gone for 8 years. Literally, they have not been in use on the site for that long. 404s, and Google is still trying.
Well, that's it. As long as the, you know, and that's, you know, that almost speaks to redirects. You know, either leave that 404 or redirect it as needed. But yeah, as long as there's still a link to something out in the web, then it's going to keep coming back. Not as often as it would if there was actually a page there. But talking to Googlers, Terry, the main reason they tell me about that is that because, you know, maybe this site went down, or maybe there's hosting issues, or, you know, this, that, and the next.
Yeah,
thing.
but 8 years? I think that URL's gone if it's been gone for 8 years. I don't think I plan on putting her back up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a thing in Webmaster Tools to tell them that you fixed it. I wish there was a secondary button that said this page is permanently gone. What was that fly on?
There is, actually. Matt Storms brought it up to our attention. I think that 410 response code,
that's the way to go.
You want to start implementing that where you know the pages are gone.
Yeah.
I've actually been doing some research as to how I can send a 410 response instead of 404.
I know I know Ahrefs has a graph, historically speaking, that shows links found and links lost, meaning it shows you can see the total links, and then you can also see new links they found, and you can see links that they've lost and stuff like that.
Right.
So that, I guess, is sort of a graphical representation of fresh and historic index. But yeah, you always want to start with the fresh stuff for sure.
Yeah, start with the fresh, but if
especially if you survived, you survived Penguin 1.3, but you got, or 1.2 or whatever the hell they were, but you got hit by 2. You can safely, reasonably assume that something in that time period is what's causing the problem.
Right, but you could also say that Penguin 2 was a page level algorithm.
Yeah, as opposed to site-wide. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Penguin 1 was site-wide, which I think at the page level, you would be more inclined to find really old bad links.
Yeah, I think nothing can replace just tracking what you've manufactured. How many times, Terry, have we worked with people who's like, well, I hired this link builder. Oh, did he give you a spreadsheet of all the stuff he did?
Nobody does.
No, he didn't. That's
I've been advocating that on the SEO Pro site since 2000 and whatever.
Yeah, keep track of anything you've actually manufactured or had someone manufacture.
Let SEOs build links for you and not tell you where they built them to. You paid for it, they should be giving you that report.
Yeah, folks, don't buy any of this. It's proprietary. We can't give away our sources.
It's not proprietary. Everybody frickin' does it. So don't buy that line of malarkey. Okay, Dave, so the next thing I wanted to look at is in the again, when you're doing your forensic audits, Dave, we didn't really use the trust and flow metrics from Majestic, nor did we use the equivalents in the other programs that we have used. Do you want to tell people why we didn't?
Because we didn't write those programs.
Right.
Again, it's like so many things Google. We don't really know what they consider a trust and authority metric. So if you don't know, and I appreciate someone taking a stab at it, and that's great. But I don't think you ever know. I swear to God, Terry, you know what it's like. It's almost like you can look at a site and go, really, this is not a good site, or this is a good site where I want to link.
I can look at the homepage of a blog and know if, in fact, that's the only
exactly.
thing I do want to look at is the homepage to see what they've been publishing. If I see everything under the sun, in other words, if they look like they're writing about no theme to their writing, I would avoid it like the plague.
And what's their social graph? What does that blog's social graph look like? What does that blog's link graph look like from trusted sources? What does that blog's social graph look like? You know what I mean?
Well,
how many comments are they getting on that blog? There's some simple common sense metrics I think you can look at to establish a place that's got authority and doesn't.
Actually, yeah, and that's one of the internal tools that me and Dave have been working on. Is it basically goes and gets all that data for you. Might see it someday soon.
But yeah,
excuse me, fingers crossed.
So many SEOs own blogs. You know the difference between an engaged blog and not by owning one. I think that's almost the way to go in many ways. Get out there and understand the metrics of something successful and authoritative. What is being shared? How often is it being shared? How many comments are there? What's the engagement on the blog?
Actually, David, I did see something that I thought was very interesting. Remember when we were looking at that dirt and we kept seeing that blog from Toronto in the results. Remember that?
Right. It was the only informational listing in that particular
Right.
SERP.
You know what else I thought was kind of interesting about that blog? It writes about everything on the sun, but it's all about Toronto.
Yeah. So it's got a geographic relevance.
Yes, it's got for geographic relevance, which means they can write about everything under the sun and get away with it, because they do have a
insert city name here.
Yes, they have. And actually, that's one of the blogs I'm trying to get on for my client.
Yeah, seems like a good plan.
I'm pretty sure it's going to work like a charm, especially if I can get the the strategy we talked about in regards to the NAP and the links, the author links, etc. Getting those proper is probably a big deal.
Oh, what's that, Doc?
I've got a client in Australia that has a site that is dipping into about 9 or 10 different niches, and that's the first thing I hammered him with from day one. You've got to get a little bit more focus. He is focused in a particular large city in Australia. Now, given the fact that over the last 3 years, I've seen, originally about 3 years ago, Australia was running probably 18 to 20 months behind the U.S. and Canada in terms of what was becoming the most prevalent attitude in Australia, with Google. And now that's dropped down to there maybe as much as 6 months behind us. So the gap is closing, but it's still not helping him in that regard. The fact that he is almost 100% locally focused, but in such a broad scheme of themes, he's gotten driven into the basement. That may change, I hope.
Yeah, it should. We did a geo-local kind of thing on Webcology a while back, and I was saying that it seems to me that a lot of these things roll out on COM, and then they slowly start spilling out to co-UK, then CA, then then Australia and whatever. I think there is slightly different algorithms in all of them.
Yeah, it has definitely been closing the lag, but there's still 4 to 6 months behind in some things. Particularly the Panda and Penguin both, I saw a tremendous lag when they hit back in 2011 and 2012. Now not so much.
And Wissam, why are you typing? Just talk, man. Link building is not illegal or bad.
Yeah, it's seems like.
Why isn't it bad?
I don't know. It's what they call it, an interview with Matt Cutts that Eric Enge did. So I'm just start reading it right now.
Yeah, on that blog, look for the interview with the guy who did the machine
learning one. Yeah.
Yeah, that says a lot about what really went on with Google and how it's not all about the ads. That guy did not mention ads once. He talked about stuff above the fold.
Yeah, because he's not the ad guy. He works with the.
Well, no, it's I think some.
I got you.
Just to cause controversy, to say Google wants you to keep your content above the fold isn't as newsworthy as Google says you can't put ads above the fold. That's what it's about. It's about selling. It's about getting people to come to his site. I understand it, but when it becomes to the point where people don't really get it because they think it's all about ads, we got a problem.
And you got to future-proof, Wiss. You know what I mean? I've been saying this for fucking years, and everyone calls me a Google fucking fanboy, but you got to future-proof. You got to see where this is all headed. Where is this all going? You know what I mean? What is the end of this journey going to look like? And it's not building links. You got to attract links. Do something that someone actually wants to link to. Do something noteworthy. You know, if your mindset's still building links. I had someone today, you know, somebody I know well that knows my speech, knows my bullshit well, come to me and say, you know, oh, we're desperate. We got to start building some links. What can we do? Directories, this, that. And I was like, oh, God. I said, do something that people want to link to. Do something actually interesting or valuable, you know. And I think that's the mindset that has to change that hasn't. So.
Yeah. I think people are still just don't get that they don't need the links, that they might want to start looking at their pages. And here's my bottom line, Dave. I think the real problem is most of these people wouldn't know good content or how to build it.
No, I think they do know it. They just can't convince
their the freaking talent. They don't.
No, I think they do. I think a lot of these people actually do know what it is. They just can't get their clients on board. Their clients are used to, you know, $200, throw some directory links out there, and trying to take that attitude and now after you change that into, well, we got to spend $1,000 on getting some good content, getting the PR team out there to their contacts, getting the social team out there to their contacts, getting this great piece of content out there to people. It's costing a lot more to get there, and I think that's the part of the resistance. Everyone's so used to this quick hit, easy fix, slam some links on it, you know, that they're convincing them. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people that do crap links over the years, they know better, but it was working, so why bother? It's readjusting their strategy and then getting clients on board.
We knew it worked, but why didn't we do it?
So I think that's the larger issue, because I know every time I open my mouth about this, people keep going, what do you mean that's going to cost us an arm and a leg?
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine. Well, just keep throwing crap links at it, and we'll see how that works out for you. You know, I don't know what else to tell people anymore.
Well, usually when they come to you in that position, Dave, you can say, well, that's what you have been doing, and how has that worked out for you? That's what I did with a recent client. He's now looking for to form relationships with local blogs, because basically I said all this other stuff is a waste of your time. You're always going to be hit by the algorithms, because what you're doing is manufacturing links. However, if you just go and write good stuff on a blog, and you know, don't do it just for the links.
Well, it doesn't have to be a blog. You can do research papers that you can do that you release. You can do all kinds of stuff. You know.
Well,
it doesn't have to be a blog post. It could be videos. Could be research papers, white papers. It could be, you know, just anything noteworthy and interesting. Be creative. You know. I'm sorry.
Right. And he actually, the firm that when I started with these people, they were working with another SEO firm, and I was kind of brought in to look after local SEO. Then I started looking at the pages and said, well, what do you really want me to do? Because I can get all the local links you want, but this site ain't going to place, you know, just not going to. Or it's going to be tough because of what's going on the website. And when they got a proposal for new content, which I showed you that too, remember?
Yeah.
We killed it, and I said, let's, you know, take that money, put it together with another project, and now we got this nice big budget that we can do a, you know, a real campaign, like with multiple facets, like a paper, posts. You know, when you've got a paper that you can actually post about on these blogs, they look at you as a guest, differently as a guest poster, and that's part of it too. The other thing is it's pretty hard to build links to a shitty site. I don't care what anybody says. You got to pay me a premium to do that, especially if you want good links.
Oh, you know, I've always said it, customer service, good quality products, good price. No, these are all things that are SEO related, because people will talk about you if you do it well.
Right. Like, what's the best reputation management? Don't do stupid. Right? If you don't do stupid things, then people have nothing to go on to you about your reputation. That's the bottom line. You got to think about your reputation. A lot of people didn't. That's why they did the things they did. Now their brains are dead. So what else can we go on the forensics? So we've one of on the Hangout have is link detox. I liked it for the most part. There are a few things about it that I question. For instance, why would you mark a no followed link as toxic? Do you think it could be toxic? Anybody? Dave? Could a no followed link be toxic?
No. No.
Whistle says no.
No way.
Dave, what do you think?
Sorry, this thing's lagging like hell here. Couldn't even unmute it.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm going with freaking A. Because again, this is a trust authority metric. This is, this again, that's just telling Google not to pass PageRank. That has nothing to do with link schemes. That has nothing to do with manipulation. That has nothing to do with authority. And authority and trust are the main ones. If you've got a link profile 95% made up from crap fucking mommy blogs, no follow or not, I think there's a chance that this can still, affect you. Now, again, I don't think that would be a Penguin issue. That might be something you would probably get in a manual action, like unnatural links or something. Again, because unnatural links message means they believe you're participating in schemes. You know what I mean? It's, now if it's in a blog roll or in a paid advertising section, probably not as much. But, if you're doing the old, I still worry that even no followed, that there is potential for some sort of trust authority devaluation, dampening, or suspect, practices. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. But that's just my thinking.
I think it's probably less of a risk than if the no follow was there. But I think if it's a bad neighborhood, it's a bad neighborhood, and Google's going to see that link from a bad neighborhood. And
that's my concern. Like I'm working on a project right now, doing some forensics, and there's a bunch of guest posting. I was going to say article marketing, Terry. Believe it or not, that's what I even have it on the tab in the spreadsheet. I've got it as article marketing, not guest blogging. Anyways, but yeah, there's even some that are no followed, but they're on such little shithole fucking WordPress, out of the box theme sites that it worries me, and I'll certainly be putting them in a disavow file, just to be safe.
Right.
It's no followed. It's no followed. What do I got to lose? You know what I mean? I'm already, if I'm not getting link equity from it,
right.
Why take any risk at all? Fuck it. No follow them. Disavow them. Because I'm not getting any link equity anyways because of the no follow, but I might be at risk of some sort of, authority, trust rank kind of problem. So
the thing, if let's say if the post is actually have no follow in it, using a WordPress or using a blogger through RSS, through syndication, through whatever you might have through that propagation or whatever it is, you can have these toxic followed links back to your site.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why when no follow as from a one page to me, if you say toxic, I say no because of that one page. If you told me a domain and you have one page on that domain and have no follow, might that domain hurt you? Yes, because having that followed or not followed link, whatever it comes from, either through a category pages that doesn't apply no follow, for example, or through the RSS feed or through something that doesn't apply the no follow, it might hurt me. So
a no followed link from the Huffington Post, I'm not so worried about it. A no followed link from these, I don't know where some of these clients get them, but you know what I mean, some sort of guest posting outreach. But some no follow on this crap old blog that's, you know, toolbar page rank 0, gray bar, whatever, that's a standard out of the box WordPress template, I'm inclined to throw them in a disavow list. Better safe than sorry, because again, if it's no fault, it's already not passing me juice anyways. Why take the risk of anything else that might be passed?
I thought to myself when I first saw it, this makes no sense, that marking something toxic, that's no follow. And then I thought, neighborhood. If this link is in a bad neighborhood, then yeah, I want to remove
trust elements might come into play at that point.
Right. You may not get hit by Penguin, but your trust may be affected by it. So
remember that one of these, I mean, probably a year ago when Penguin hit, you would see these article marketing died in a way that, for example, these eZine articles or Go articles, all these what they call article directories, some of them, they're good back then. But what happened is, because that article actually was on eZine, it was syndicated to 5,000 other sites.
Right.
Taking these articles, and you have these anchors everywhere, even though with I saw certain what they call it link examples, and these link examples were not actually, it was syndicated because it was included under on eZine. It was some guy pulled the RSS feed and tried to include it in his website, which added a toxic bad link, pointing back to that customer client site.
Yeah, I agree that that's why it's probably a good idea to watch using those kinds of sites, because you could be getting hit and it's not even from the site that your link is on. It could be what's pointed at them or where they.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, a shitty site, you get syndicated by shittier sites. So.
Yeah, you know, like Dave said, good links to good, bad links to other bad sites, because they, well, no, actually,
well, that's just a general premise, but that's the general premise that they originally came up with. That spammers tend to interlink their sites. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And nobody legitimate ever links to a spammer site. So the original basic trust rank concept is that good sites link to good sites and bad sites link to bad sites. It's a very generalized view, obviously. But.
Oh, I got some sites, not pros, that have linked to guys that Google might think are a little shady on one of my personal sites.
I mean, look, SEO pros linking to my website, for example.
Oh, I disavow that shit, man. Disavow it now. Like, don't even stop talking. Go right to Webmaster Tools and disavow that shit.
Sure.
Man. Well, like I said, some of these link tools that are supposed to analyze your profile for crap links, you know, I tend to run, you know, the Dojo SNC, Matt Cutts blog and shit like that through them. And, you know, I'm suspect to a lot of these things because they're sitting there telling you 80% of your links suck and this and that. It's like,
or 80% of Matt Cutts links suck.
Yeah, one of the tools, it's not one of the ones we've talked about today. Well, I'll leave it nameless, but yeah, I ran it through one of the tools that came out recently, and yeah, it told me that 80% of the links to Matt Cutts blog were bad.
Well, you know, you got to think about the fact that there's some sites out there that are going to have links from crap sites all over the world. Places like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Watch, Search Engine people. They have no control over that. However, they've also established some level of authority on their own. So, you know, the threshold is probably different.
Yeah, I would agree.
At least if there's any fairness, it should be.
Well, and you got to look at that in context. Usually, what is that? You know what I mean? That's scrapers. You know what I mean? Scrapers using RSS or full site scrapers, whatever. Google understands the difference there. It's when you have directory links and guest post links and, you know, link pages you're on and blog roll links and the ones that are traditionally, you know, SEO targets because we write about them all the time because we're geniuses. You know, these are the ones that I think they really focus on with Penguin and natural links messages. I don't think they're as focused on the scraper ones. I don't think that's your problem. You know, it's like, who's going to go out on your behalf and put your link in 10,000 directories? Nobody, you know. Who's going to go out and get guest posts in your name? Nobody. You know, this doesn't happen. Scrapers do, and I think Google understands the difference. So.
Yeah, well, I've seen instances where a site was in the middle in authority, in other words, a 4 or 5, but getting scraped to shit. It has affected their rankings. I'm pretty sure of it. We're looking deeper, but it's all I can see. See certain parts of their site that have been scraped like crazy, dropped, and the rest of it stayed the same. So that's one that we fixed Panda-wise, and the duplication seems to be more about Panda than Penguin, as far as duplicate content, syndication.
Yeah, for sure.
Got money back to bite you. Or scraping. That's more to do with Panda than Penguin. Of course, if they have links that are linked to you, then it could be Penguin as well. Then you have real.
I guess it can't hurt to touch on Penguin recovery, maybe. I don't know. Being that I'm still waiting to hear back, but as far as we know, it's only recoverable at the next data refresh. So, to me, so many people I run across are in a panic. Hurry, let's get a disavow together. Let's do all this and that.
No rush. You got 5 months.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, man. Yeah, you probably got anywhere from 6 months and down till the next refresh. So, no need to have a knee-jerk reaction and panic. That's for sure.
I think with now that it's at page level, Penguin, you might be able to get a few pages, recover some, but you won't get full recovery until the full update is run.
Well, that's if full recovery is even in the offing.
Or if it's even possible. I'm having reservations as to whether it doesn't almost like be a permanent penalty. In other words, you'll always have that stigma.
Well, I guess it depends on what you think Penguin is. If what we seem to understand about Penguin is that they're just not counting those links anyways. I'm not sure what kind of recovery you can expect. You were getting value for that link equity before Penguin, and now you're not. So how do you recover? I don't know.
Right. We don't even know that it's not just a case of those links don't count anymore, so you went down.
Right, which seems a logical explanation for what it does. So, is there a recovery? There was a thing on Search Engine Watch. He did a poll, and there were some 350 people answered the poll, and it was asking if, you recovered from Penguin. I think it was like 4% said they had. It was pretty low. So.
Well, I think some people just can't do enough to recover. In other words, Dave, I think if you've got a really shitty site, right? In other words, you're probably a Panda candidate on top of a Penguin candidate. You got too many issues. Best to just start over on a fresh domain. That's my personal thing.
Yeah, or again, you've had those links dampened, so you still have to, regardless of disavow, regardless of anything else you're doing, you still got to start thinking of ways to create new, half-decent, legitimate inbound links. You know what I mean? You can't just sit there and say, well, let's disavow this and we'll go back to page 1 again. I'm pretty sure that you've been dampened on that shit, and so they're not counting anymore. You can disavow all you want. That's not going to get you back to page 1. You've got to still go out and attract links. You've got to still go out and do something notable. You got to still go out and find ways to have people talk about your site, engage with your site, share your site.
Right.
If you're not doing any of these, that's the new world of links.
Okay.
If you want
what about the guys that say, well, I disavowed X amount of links and I went out and built new, higher quality links, but I'm still not moving?
Then obviously they weren't that high quality.
Or maybe
because, like I say, that friend of ours, he hired a certain UK SEO there, and their rankings shot right up very nicely. With some guest posting. I think maybe 20 of them or so. I showed you the spreadsheet, maybe 20 or something, Terry, something like that. You know, and their rankings went nicely up. Boop, 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 boop. Then Penguin 2.0 hit, and they went boop, 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 back down again. So there's your other option. You know, go nuts with your SEO strategy. Keep doing what you're doing, and then just, you know, you'll have to redo it every 6 months.
Yeah. Renaming every page on the site every 6 months is probably
Yeah, and go out and do your guest blogging for 6 months, and you'll get the traffic, and then Penguin 2 point what the fuck ever will hit, and you get to start again. You know, that does work. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? I've seen sites that, you know, pre-Penguin, they did some guest blogging, and their rankings and traffic went up to here, and then Penguin 2.0 back down to pretty much almost the same levels they were at before.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You remember that one? Yeah. So, you know, there's always that option if you want to go out and just build crap links, and then when Penguin hits, do it all over again. You know, go right ahead, I guess. But
I don't know if you've seen it in your analysis, Dave, but quite often I see with people that get hit by Penguin a rise just before the update, almost as if Google said, okay, we're going to do this with these links, give it that equity back, and then when they run the update, it chalks that equity again.
Yeah, hard to say. You know, the one I was talking about, they kind of went up from the time they started doing the guest posting, and then till Penguin 2.0, and then back down right. Again. So, you know, I don't know if that I haven't seen that as much, but yeah, again, it'll catch up to you. It's a choice. You can actually start creating pillar content, creating, you know, engaging content and things of that nature. Put it through your promotional channels and your PR and your social teams, and build something that'll stand the test of time. Or you can go out and build shit links every time Penguin hits, you know, and you'll go up, and then you'll go down, then you go up, and, you know, it's up to you.
What I've kind of seen is when it's one of these where they've been, like you said, taking a long view. Most of the time now, when someone says that they think they have trouble, I automatically go and take a 2-year view, because I want to see where they were at pre any of the updates, and then I want to see what their traffic is at now. So even if they don't line up exactly for a whole bunch of updates, Dave, if they're down 60% from the top, I know they've been hit by something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know it's algorithmic, and it's over time they've just steadily lost. And those are generally where I see this uptick just before an update. Almost, you know,
you were touching on the I think that was actually in the other show, but anyways, earlier today you were touching on the anchor text stuff and brand mentions and brand searches and brand anchors and stuff like that. I think that's almost systemic as well, in the sense that, you know, so many of these instances, what are these guys posts doing for you on these shithole blogs? Nothing. They're not building your brand authority. They're not doing anything. You know what I mean? You're not really selling anything, because no one's reading these little shithole blogs. You're doing absolutely nothing but setting yourself up for pain. And then in context with that, you'll also see, if you look year over year on brand searches, meaning the query data, people searching for that brand's name, you'll often see that it's also going down. You know, that they've stopped doing as much outside of SEO or outside of, you know, social media or whatever, that their offline marketing campaigns have had less investment, that their, you know, promotional activities have had less investment. And, you know, that's where a lot of natural, really actually fucking not looks natural, but actually natural links come from, is from people talking about you. And if you're not making those investments, if no one's talking about your brand, really, is it just not a natural thing that you're going to end up, you know? And then what do? They start throwing more directory links at it. They start doing more guest blog posts on crap fucking blogs that they can actually get on without paying money. You know, and, you know, I find that correlates, you know, the old correlation word, but I find that correlates well, is that people that aren't getting brand queries to their site, when those are dropping, it also correlates with the lack that your graph of natural links is going to go down as well.
Yeah. And I think also when people aren't actually searching on your brand, Google wonders how important it is in that.
Yeah, there's got to be an authority metric in there somewhere. You know?
Yeah. That's why we've seen people that dropped, and quite often it's because, they were running a campaign offline for a couple of years and then they stopped. Well,
Yeah, well, they're sponsoring soccer teams. They were,
Yeah.
you know, one client was sponsoring cricket matches in the past. They're no longer doing that. And, you know, when I start to dig in and say, well, you know, why is this? Because the guy right away is like, oh, we had this penguin panda problem. First thing I did was I went to the organic thing in Google Webmaster and in Google Analytics, and I stripped out the brand terms. I said, well, why the hell would you do that? Well, because we're looking at, I was like, no, because look at your brand terms, look at your brand searches. What are they doing? They're also going like this. You know, Google has this thing called Google Trends. Wonder what the fuck that's all about. Oh, right, it's people in the news. It's topics in the news. Wow, Google's tracking stuff like that. Who knew?
Well, I think it's also goes to the new trend of things, not strings.
Entities,
So
baby.
doesn't want Google thinks you're important if you're the thing that people are trying to find in a
That's
query.
right. And are talking about, again, Google Trends,
Right.
you know what I mean? So, yeah, are they, you know, remember when we had Google Insights before they took that away? You know, they had the up-and-coming search phrases, you know. They would have here query trends, and then over to the right it would have, you know, rising search terms. Gee, hello, QDF, right there. There's your QDF, motherfucker. You know?
When you're advertising offline, you just put the Facebook symbol, and then you don't have your real company name for your Facebook page name, and then people have to go search for it. It would be real nifty if that actually helped you. That would be actually kind of, wow.
So I just come in and apologise for being quite so late to the party, guys.
Hey, we got you set up for next week now, though. There's no excuses, Dixon.
No, next time I'll be here, and I apologise for the mess up there.
Well, it just means we got a whole show dedicated to Majestic.
Yeah, he did it on purpose. I know it now. That was Dix. Dix was like, you know, if I make it late, then yeah, they're gonna make a whole show about us. Yeah,
it's true.
There's a lot of exciting stuff going on over there.
You're really good, boy. They should give you a raise, man.
Yeah, that's marketing.
Yeah, we're gonna lobby for a raise for Dix.
I think you should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were actually one of the owners. You're not?
Yeah, no, I've got a part interest in the whole thing, but it's quite a big
so
project.
you're like an associate type deal.
I'm a director, and I'm connected in there. But you know, Alex is the main man. He wrote it from ground up. He wrote over 500,000 lines of code from his bedroom before we got going. So I figure it's his baby, really.
That's a lot of code. Their IIS server had only 1 million lines.
I'll tell you what, it's a lot of code to clear up with the rest of the development team on now.
Oh, you would have a ton of legacy code, wouldn't you? When you update something, it's a big deal.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, the code, because the databases are so big, you know, Alex had to write his own database structures as well. So we're not sitting there and using MySQL or anything like that. So it's pretty much a bespoke package that will be pretty hard to copy.
Wow. Yeah, because a lot of times with those things, it's more about architecture than anything else, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think when we started and Moz started, we thought that the structure that Moz were using, they would have a problem around about 70 billion URLs, and I think that they reached a max around about 100 billion URLs. And they've done very well out of it, but we stopped actually a little bit in and started rebuilding the structures. This is actually before my time, and we realized that there was some maths that wasn't going to scale right up the top end, so we got lucky.
So you thought forward thinking in the end.
Well, Alex was. I was just picking it up and say,
credit where credit's due, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that was something I was wondering about, and we'll probably go into it further in the next show, is if you have 100 billion URLs, right, and Google only has like 20 in their index, do you guys know which ones are in the index and which aren't?
Well, actually, we've got 4.2 trillion URLs in our main index. Well, actually, right now it's about 2 trillion URLs in the full index. So we have quite a lot. We have our own index, so we don't know exactly what's in Google's index. But if you've got URLs that Google sees in its index that we're not seeing, then you can use a URL submitter, and you can upload up to 100,000 at a time into our tool, and then we'll go and crawl them and check that we've got all that data. So even if we hadn't got it, you can get it in a couple of minutes. Well, a few days, hopefully.
Right. Eventually your spider, it would get put into the queue and it would get regular index.
I mean, if you gave us 100 billion URLs on the same website, we wouldn't do that, because we'd probably take down a website. So, you know, we obviously got to be reasonable about it and obey robots.txt and be respectful of websites. But, you know, we'll get around to most of those sites.
So you are following robots.txt as well, Dixon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We follow robots.txt to the letter. Absolutely.
Oh, that's really cool, because a lot of tools don't.
We were talking about historic and fresh earlier. What's the cutoff? Is historic means links that existed once upon a time that don't anymore? Is that the general difference between historic and fresh?
That's not it. So really, for most things, you should use fresh. So fresh is a crawl. It means that we've seen a URL within the last 90 days. So it can still be a 5-year-old URL. But if we haven't seen it over a 90-day cycle, then there's probably an issue with that. So the historic index will keep all the old information, including all the deleted URLs, and of course the fresh index does as well. But to do the flow metrics calculations on trillions of URLs takes weeks or months, which is why we use the fresh index, because for all intensive purposes, any link that's any value to anybody in society should be in the fresh index, and that's what we're working on as well.
Cool. I'm sure
that makes sense.
It's going to be a really cool show. I'm looking forward to that.
So, Harry, Dave, I heard you saying that, you know, Ahrefs have got their new and lost backlinks. They nicked that off us. I'm just telling you.
Oh, okay, did they? Sorry, man. Sorry.
We showed it at Brighton SEO on a Friday, and they had it launched by Monday.
Did they? Where do I find that in Majestic then?
In Majestic, if you someone's jumping in there. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you just go type in, if you're in an account, type in any URL, then the first thing you do is see some tabs, and one of them is a new backlinks tab, and the other one's the lost backlinks tab. So they're there sitting at the top of the screen. So, you know, if you want to give me I can share my screen if you like and show you what I've got.
Please, because I swear to God, Dixon, we'll get into obviously more next week, but you know, even with the guys from Raven when we've had them on, I think one of the biggest things with users of your wonderful, awesome, industry-leading tools is finding stuff. No, we had the guys from Majestic and we had the guys from Raven in for a Dojo chat one Friday. And we had members going, I wish you guys had something that did this and this and that. And, you know, they were like, we do. Oh, where do you find that? And really, I think it's such a common thing that people aren't, you know, there's two things I find. One, they don't know how to use the tool to find answers, and that's just people in general. You know, too many people stare at analytics without going there with a question. And two is just there's oftentimes your tools have so much information, finding everything becomes a bit of an issue.
Oh, there we go. We got the share up.
You mean this?
Yeah.
Click on his screen to lock him in, Terry.
On his screen? Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if you get my screen up. So if you type a URL into our system, we actually have these tabs configurable. So I've actually put the summary tab out. So my new links is actually my default page that comes up. So that's my new links that have come into dixonjones.com and day by day, and I can drag over these and say, right, what happened there? And it updates on the fly. And then the same with the lost links here. So there's my lost links, and I lost some links here. What happened? And there we go, day by day. There we go. That's the guy
and
from
a lost link means,
a
lost link means you guys have crawled that page again, and the link's no longer there, or the page is no longer
there. That's right.
Whatever.
So for all the links here, so if I sit there and see what's happened here, this is 3rd of July, so that's just a few days ago. So we're going up to 8th of July there. So it's really up to date information, and we can see that Yoast. I'm going to hit Yoast. So Yoast had a link on to my site, the dixonjones.com here on PageRank Sculpting with the anchor text Dixon Jones. We know it was there at the start of the index, so it was there before on or before the 14th of April. We checked it again on the 2nd of July.
Can I get a user request for status code of that page on that chart next time? Thanks.
Yeah. Also, yeah, if you want,
because who knows? He might have just taken that page down because he doesn't want to be known for page rate sculpting anymore.
Well, maybe he has. Maybe he has. So, I mean, the reason it's come down, I don't know. But what we do have, we just came out 2 days ago, is on your own sites. We now tell you the crawl results of every page. So, every URL downloaded successfully. But this could be the reason we don't get it is in here as well. So, if there's any 404s or, of course, my site is perfect. So 404s, 500s, if there's errors on the code, on the server error, all that information is in there, and a whole load of new ones that I'd never even heard of before is in here as well. So, yeah.
Dixon, what you're showing us is also the new Site Explorer that's configurable, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Up any way you want these tabs, correct?
Yeah, so I've put this in this way, but in my account settings, I can go and change this around so that my settings in Site Explorer is, there we go.
Wow, that's very cool.
So I can have it my way. So
as to what tabs are there, correct?
Yeah. So if you're really into the referring domains or whatever, then you can put it around this way, update the settings, and now when you go to your Site Explorer,
that's very cool.
Then
can you remove some if you don't really care about them?
Hang on, I just got to call the other line. Sorry.
Is that your office number?
No, that's not. That's a London number. Okay. Sorry about that. Carry on, guys. What was the question?
I was asking if there were some that I really don't care about, right? Could I just remove those tabs?
Yeah, well, you can't remove them. What you can do, you can push them over to one side. We haven't got a delete button or hide button, but what we have got is the ability to filter some of the data as well. So if let me go and show you what I mean. Sorry, someone just came in just then. So, but if I go back to this now and have a look at my Site Explorer and configure it, then if you're a guy that sits there and wants to see deleted backlinks in the backlinks data, then fine. But I've set mine to hiding the deleted backlinks because if it's gone, it's gone. You can also decide whether in your anchor text you want to see the hyphenated words as different to non-hyphenated words. You can also order your stuff in the referring domains by different orders now.
So I guess in theory this would be actually kind of handy if you're doing link takedown requests.
Yeah, I mean you can change things around certainly. Yeah.
Cross-reference your lost backlinks with your email request to have links taken down. You could actually cross-reference that with that data to get a sense of it. Yeah,
you can. I don't know if I'd do it that way. What I would do when I'm doing Penguin stuff, then what I would do is not use this. I would actually create a full report and I'd verify because I can do that with my own site, and then I'd download all of the links into a CSV or have a look at them. But the other thing that is really good when you're starting to do this sort of thing, let me just bring up example.com here and show you. Everywhere where we see a link, we have these things called buckets. So as you're going through things, you can say, oh, that looks dodgy. I'll just add that to my bucket. That looks dodgy. Or it could be if you're looking for other people's links, you can say, that looks good. Put them all in here and off you go. And then you just say, right, that's your bucket up there. Oops, sorry, different language. And then up here.
So that kind of aggregates stuff. The bucket basically aggregates a list for you, eh?
That's it, yeah, and then you can just export your list as a CSV file and do whatever you like with it. Give it to your guy in India to go and get rid of the links or whatever it may
be. Your guy in India.
So the other cool thing about the bucket area is that if you go around, if you want to sit there and take different URLs, for example, then you want to check them in the backlink history, for example. You can sit there and just drag them up really quickly here and start seeing their link acquisition rates over time. So it's a really quick way of doing things from this bucket list.
I know when Dave and I were looking at the JCPenney SmackDown a while back, we used one of your tables and it basically showed us these guys have been doing this for 2 years. Every September, they bought a ton of links. And yet it was only the 1 year that they got hit.
Yeah, no, that's true. They were doing it for quite a long time. So yeah. So I mean, So there's a lot of stuff there.
That's why I kind of was a little upset because that's a strategy I've used. Like at Christmas, I don't care where the link is. I just want it seen. Like
okay.
Everybody's buying then. Like you never know, right?
Yeah.
That's why I took a little exception to people getting on them about that. I didn't think it was really thinking things through. Like,
well, it was what it was, really. But you know, we still got all that data for JCPenney and what they did. You know, we still got it in the system. So if anybody's still interested in finding out what happened to JCPenney, it's all still there for them if they go through the historic data. So we can go through it. I can go through it next week if you like.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Me and Dave will be sitting. I think Dave will want to sit in on this one, eh, Dave?
Oh yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here.
Okay.
Someone's got to give Dix a hard time, man. So I'll be here to hammer him. I'll be hammering away, man. Since we're on forensics here, since we've had to ad lib this week for some reason, I don't quite remember what it was.
Okay.
Right? But okay, so you know, I mean, you've got the tools all in front of you and stuff like that. What are some of your thoughts as far as either unnatural links, Penguin, or both? You know, as far as, you know, we see a lot of theories on velocity, on anchor text, and things of that nature. So from a forensic level, given the access you have to the world's biggest link database, what are some of your working theories on it?
Well, I think there's a few things. I think Google is moving faster than we think towards people traveling down links rather than
take your screen sharing off. I'm looking at myself here.
You're looking at yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I am beautiful, but really, I can't take that much.
I'll just put you back there then.
Yeah, there we go.
So, yeah, stop sharing my screen then, Terry, and then that'll fix it. Oh, yeah, how do I do that? I've got to take my
screen share. It's over on the left. Screen share on the left. Turn it off. Just click it.
I'll turn it off. Hang on.
Yeah. Then we'll get your beautiful mug back in here.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, so let's hear some working theories from a link master.
So there's two different things. I think the first is that Google is working much more towards whether any traffic travels down a link more than anything else. But I think that one bit of evidence that we've got is, of course, anchor text is killing everybody. But I think that the other thing in our metrics that is standing out is that sites that are likely to be penguined are ones where they have a lot of links going into them, or a lot of citation flow, but relatively quite a little amount of a lot of citation flow, but very little trust flow. So I can go into the difference between the two next week, but basically citation flow is how link worthy a site is, and trust flow is how trustworthy those links are. And we're seeing that the really spammy sites just don't have any trust, which means that their link networks, wherever their links are coming from, are not really originating from websites that were curated by human beings.
You got the 10-word answers ready, did you?
See, I got that ready. I just didn't get a microphone ready.
Right. Well, I you know what I mean. I feel vindicated in the sense, I don't know if you were actually there for most of the show, and yeah, I was kind of talking about that earlier, and I
wasn't at the show. I went to the shops to get a microphone.
I do believe trust is a huge part of what is going on right now. You know what I mean? People are talking about link velocity, they're talking about anchor text, and I think to a degree that maybe some of those play in, especially the anchor text thing, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of it's got to do with the trust of the sources that are linking to you.
Yeah. I think at its heart, a link was always supposed to be, in Google's eyes, a link was always supposed to be about a relationship between two websites. It's like somebody talking about you in the pub, and it had become more like an advert, somebody waving a poster at you in a pub, and Google's got through a lot of that. It's obviously got some things going wrong. You can still spam it with anchor text for short periods of time, as you can see from my blog today. But Google's picking a lot of this up over time, except in some pretty vicious industries like insurance and loans.
Payday loans, especially.
Yeah, and we've seen one in car insurance as well, which pretty much created all the links, hundreds of thousands of links over, or tens of thousands of links over a 3-day period. And
is that the one Naylor was talking about recently?
iCrossing put it on our blog.
I saw it somewhere.
So they were talking.
The insurance business is about as Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's nice stuff.
Those are money terms, man. Like payday loans. I know when I was working in that industry, we were spending up this pot full of money. Like, I can imagine, and we weren't even a big player, and we were into like 6 figures.
Yeah, It's an incredible
I'm,
market.
I'm even starting to wonder if the whole unnatural links thing is slowly migrating itself over to Penguin too. Like by the time that Penguin becomes like Panda, that it's part of the rest of the core algos and it's running monthly or whatever, that we don't have these named updates. And in the sense that, you know what I mean, I've seen some link profiles lately that have been penguinized, and I'm sitting there looking at it going, wow, how did you not get a natural links message? It's like, you know, this is as bad as some of the ones I've worked on doing forensics that have UL messages. So it's almost like that threshold slowly changing over from, you know, sending UL messages out in manual reviews, and the Penguin is sort of covering some of what that might have been before in the years past. That in years past you might have got a UL for it, but these days the threshold's dropped, so you're just going to get penguinized as opposed to the UL. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of evidence that I think that Penguin has created a shift in our own attitudes in SEO, and you know, it's achieved what Google wanted to achieve, which was
you know, Dix, I love you, man, but be careful with that power. You know, I've been preaching proper shit for years, so Terry and I are just sitting back going, yeah, people, about fucking time. We told you this shit was gonna happen. You weren't fucking listening.
Absolutely.
So I would prefer it's changed the attitudes of some SEOs. Okay, brother?
Okay, some SEOs. Absolutely. I know, I've always been the same. So, interestingly, I've been around recently into, you know, Spain and Germany and Poland, around Europe, and a lot of those people are really not saying that they've got the same kind of problems in Penguin problems that we seem to be having in English. You know, which is kind of weird, because a year ago I went out to all those places and they were panicking like mad and said they had huge problems. But now apparently they don't have any problems. I don't know how that happened.
Dixon, I was reading on the Moz blog, one of their big guys saying that the EMD update was never really rolled out in Europe. Is that true?
Well, I don't know. I mean, certainly in the UK, I think my EMD, let's check, is still ranking #1. So, so it's still working for me. Yeah, I'm still #1 for my EMD. So, so that's worked.
Terry, again, go back to supporting metrics. You know, do you write an algo that says anything with an EMD, blah blah blah, dampen? Or do you write an algo that says, if EMD, then check this, then oh, you write a fucking program, you know what I mean? If you're satisfying other things and you have low thresholds of authoritative quality links and you have an EMD, then that algo might dampen some of your EMD anchors. But outside of that, if you have an EMD that actually has brand authority and this and that, I don't see them writing an algo that would penalize someone just because of the domain name. It's not that simple to me. And you know me, Terry. You know what I mean? Between research, what I read, and who I talk to, you know, I don't see them writing something that simple. You know what I mean? Because that leaves you open for the false positives and all that shit, which is something they're always really careful about. So
I kind of just agree with the guy that it looked to me like they just haven't rolled it out in Europe yet, because even the English in the UK is different than North America, and same with Canada. Our English is a little different than the US, right? Yeah. So.
I mean, I think you're okay if you've built your brand around that EMD. Then it's the natural.
You're going to have a natural profile and a natural visibility.
Yeah. But what will happen is if that anchor text is on a particularly high volume search term, a credit cards or a payday loans, then Google can see that the amount of people that are typing this phrase in relation to your website traffic is probably extortionate. So it can probably make some kind of estimation. A little bit clever.
Yeah. We've been seeing something kind of like that as far as even site-wide links or form signatures and things of that nature. That there seems, Terry, kind of tie in with the other theory, in the sense that if a given threshold above a certain number of exact match anchors is satisfied, then dampen everything from that point on, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
guys, I've got to go home. Well, I am at home, but I've got to go back.
We should be ending this anyhow, Dixon. We've gone about an hour and a half by the looks of it. So
yeah,
I'll come back and do it properly next week, and I apologize.
Oh, that's excellent. And we usually start about 15 minutes early, so that as you can see, you usually need that 15 minutes to get everything working.
To get my microphone working, yeah.
And see, now I got my part of the way with all the forensic stuff. I just get to hammer at you and Majestic next week, so it'll be a lot more fun.
That's going to be. I'm
It'll
going to
be a lot more fun for me.
So I'm trying to learn Majestic, so I'm going to have a lot of questions for you.
Okay, all right. Have you got a paid trial to practice on and ask me the questions then?
Not sure. No, you'll have to send me that.
Free access because I went through Google Webmaster Tools.
I don't because your stupid goofy system, whenever I get to PayPal, requires me to put a credit card into PayPal, which I don't do. So
yeah, that's not my stupid system. That's PayPal's because it's a subscription.
Yeah.
So subscriptions don't work on the.
No, some do, some don't. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah,
I've got subscriptions to other things that work just fine. Like Ahrefs, I have it through PayPal. It takes it out every month. It never required me to do that, so I don't know if there's some sort of different IPN setup or something like that.
No, actually, Dave, I think it has to do with legacy. SEO pros, same deal. You can use one or the other, but that was before they could take credit cards online.
No, Ahrefs isn't that old though, so it's actually younger than Majestic. So
I thought Ahrefs were using. They did have 2 checkout, and then they moved over to. Some guys down south. I don't think they're using
PayPal.
Oh, indeed they are, because that's where mine comes out of every month.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Anyways, I'll drop you my email into the. Oh, I guess you need the email I was registered on, eh?
No, I've got your email. That's fine. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Anyways, I'll go dig around. Like I said, I've been playing with cognitive stuff this week. He's been bugging me for like ages to go play with his stuff. So when he got his Penguin tool, I decided to go, or his bad link tool, I decided to go have a look. Not bad, you know what I mean? Dom let me into link. Terry, make sure we'll edit this shit out, but. Dom let me play with his tool and stuff too, so I've got a lot, and forensics is kind of what I do, so I've got a lot of, and cognitive's not bad, I gotta say, I think
the two are quite good tools, and
I still think a human being's got to go through this data, but it's a great starting point. It's a great place to categorize the links and give you a starting point. I still think for anyone that actually listening or watching still that you got to go through manually, and you, as Terry's fond of saying, you can't be a shit link builder looking at this either. You got to, because you're not going to know what's shit and what's not.
The first guy to take a link down is the guy who put it up. He's not going to look at it the same as a third party who has no vested interest.
And Dixon and I have so many ideas, buddy.
You're saying I made a mistake by getting this link the first time. And how many SEOs will say I made a mistake? In my experience, not many.
As a forensics guy, Dixon, I know you got to run, but as a forensics guy, buddy, that comes in after other SEOs who've done a really shitty job, I would really like to, take that whole new links, lost links thing to another level and almost show me them month by month, because so many times these people's link builders don't give them lists of what they did. Yeah. And I'd love to be able to come into a link profile and go, boom, this is what they did this month, and this is what happened this month, this is what almost segment it out. God.
So I'll tell you how to do that next week.
Good, man. Thank you, and I'll love you so much for it. And I will sing your praises.
A lot of the people that I've talked to about Majestic, it was kind of like, it's so overwhelming how much you have to learn to actually use all the tools.
Yeah, it's true. There is a lot in there, but and a lot of functionality has been built on top of it. So if I go through some of it, it'll clear some myths. And
we'll have some fun next week, my friend.
All right, I've got to go now. My wife's going to kill me.
Take care.
Okay. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.
Okay, I guess we'll be ending this broadcast, and you can see Dave and Dixon next week on our next helpline.
Yeah, it'll be a good one, folks. Don't miss it. We're going to take them to task, Terry.
Yeah.
I have many things.
Goodbye for now, and as usual, go make lots of money.